We have breaking news. The New York Knicks are trading RJ Barrett, Immanuel Quickley, and draft compensation to the Toronto Raptors for OG Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa. We're going to break down this massive blockbuster trade today and so much more. I am shocked right now, guys. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. Have notifications turned on so you don't miss videos like this or any other major updates. And now, let's get started. The Knicks are trading RJ IQ to the Toronto Raptors for OG Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa. Adrian Wojnarowski from ESPN was the first one on the scene who broke this report. According to Woj, the Toronto Raptors are finalizing a trade to send OG Anunoby to the New York Knicks for a package including RJ Barrett, Immanuel Quickley, and draft considerations. That's what sources were telling ESPN. And then we found out what the final trade was. And here it is. The Knicks are sending RJ Barrett, Immanuel Quickley, and a second-round pick for this year via the Detroit Pistons to the Toronto Raptors in exchange for OG Anunoby, Precious Achiuwa, and Malachi Flynn. Adrian Wojnarowski mentioned that the New York Knicks had been pursuing Anunoby for a significant period of time and now gets a head start on recruiting him to stay as a free agent in the summer. Anunoby's two-way talent has made him a target throughout the league, and now he lands in the Knicks lineup. I am absolutely shocked. I did not think the New York Knicks were going to make a move of trading RJ Barrett until this offseason. But let alone that, I didn't think the New York Knicks were going to make a move with the Toronto Raptors. Have we all forgotten? The Raptors and the Knicks are right now involved in a lawsuit. But I said in another video, maybe, just maybe, the lawsuit stuff is on one side and the business and trade stuff is on the other side. And you know what? Given the fact that this trade actually happened, that has to be the case because they are still fighting this lawsuit. That is still happening. However, they made this deal. They made a trade because according to the Raptors and the Knicks, it made business sense to do it. The Raptors get RJ Barrett. Their hometown hero comes back. They get Immanuel Quickley. Instant upgrade at the point guard position. He's going to start over there. Now they have their point guard for the future. And they get a second round pick. The New York Knicks get off of Immanuel Quickley. They obviously were not going to re-sign him. RJ Barrett has been struggling this season. After the first 5 or 6 games where he looked amazing, he has just been struggling with the New York Knicks lineup, struggling playing alongside Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, and I think we've all seen it with the eye test, and we've also seen it with the numbers. Now, if you watch this channel, you know I love RJ Barrett. I'm a big supporter of him, and I think he is going to be great someday in this league. Now, not with the New York Knicks, but probably likely with the Toronto Raptors. IQ, Scotty Barnes, and RJ Barrett, that sounds very, very good to me. I think that trio is going to be what they use moving forward, and I think they're going to be very good for that Raptors team moving forward in the future. But right now, we got to focus on the Knicks. As much as it pains me to see RJ Barrett go, we have to focus on who the Knicks actually acquired, and that is OG Anunoby, Precious Achiuwa, and Malachi Flynn. And the OG Anunoby aspect, if you guys have been watching this channel, you already know. I've been covering it for months now. OG Anunoby has been someone the Knicks have coveted. They've wanted him. They wanted to trade for him last season during the trade deadline. The unfortunate part was they didn't give the right picks up at the time to get Anunoby. And of course, with Masai Ujiri, he wants the best deal possible. At the time, he had no reason to trade OG Anunoby, so if a team wanted him, he was going to ask for everything he could. And he did, and the Knicks didn't go ahead and pull the trigger. Right now, he had to make a decision because OG Anunoby has a player option. He's CAA. If he went ahead and didn't roll the dice on him and kept him on the Raptors team headed into this offseason, there was no guarantee that he was going to re-sign with the Raptors. So he might just walk away from the Raptors and join another team, just like Fred VanVleet did. And if that happens, I don't know if Masai Ujiri can recover from that. How can you recover letting 2 players go and get nothing for them? So I think with that in mind and that motivation behind him, he went ahead and said, you know what? I know we got a lawsuit, but I can get RJ Barrett, I can get Immanuel Quickley, I can get a pick even though it's a second round pick, and I'm losing OG Anunoby, but it's likely I'm going to lose him anyways. And I get to give him Precious Achiuwa as well, too. Somebody that I may not retain, I don't want to pay, and I want to use that cap space to go after other players. Again, if you're the Raptors, it may make sense to do this. And now maybe you can go ahead and re-sign Gary Trent Jr. if that's something you're looking to do. Or if you're not, you clear the books even more and you look to see what else is out there for you. The New York Knicks needed a wing. We absolutely needed a wing. Without question, whatever you want to say about the trade or the situation, I think when you looked at this roster from top to bottom, what you identified more than anything else was that the New York Knicks needed a wing on this team. Because if they had that, a legit 3-and-D wing, this Knicks team could thrive and they could be way better than they are right now. And I think now with OG Anunoby, the Knicks have their wing of the future. Because I've said it a number of times. Besides Mikal Bridges, who's playing in Brooklyn right now, and I'm still watching what's happening over there. Even though that's the case, OG Anunoby is likely the second best fit for this New York Knicks roster in terms of a wing and in terms of a 3-and-D fit. And now under Tom Thibodeau, I think his defense, which is already elite, is going to be even more extraordinary because that's what Thibs does. He makes players that are good at defense better at defense. He makes players that are okay at defense better at defense. Whatever you want to say about him and his coaching style and how he plays players, how he utilizes players, one thing that you have to say and you have to admit, in terms of defenses and in terms of how players, individual players play defense, when you're coached under Tom Thibodeau, you automatically play defense better. Because he makes you play defense better. He asks that of each and every player on the floor. Maybe not all of his stars, but of most players on that court, he asks you to play defense. And when other players around you are playing defense to that extent, you're going to play defense the same way. That's why I think under Tom Thibodeau, OG Anunoby and his defensive tenacity is absolutely going to go up and it's going to thrive. The other two players to look at is Precious Achiuwa and Malachi Flynn. And honestly, Precious Achiuwa, getting him, who's basically going to play backup to OG Anunoby now, that's another match made in heaven. You want to know why, guys? Because it gives the Knicks more size. The Knicks now have size at their 3 spot. Perfect. We needed that. And now, when OG Anunoby goes to the bench, we slot in Precious Achiuwa. They have chemistry already together. It makes sense. It fits. You get more size. And you know what? Malachi Flynn and Precious Achiuwa become trade assets and trade pieces toward the end of the season. And let's not forget, guys, the New York Knicks have still retained Evan Fournier. They haven't traded Evan Fournier. Let's not forget, guys, the New York Knicks, in terms of their war chest of first-round picks, they still have those. Let's not forget, guys, that the New York Knicks still have a young prospect in Quentin Grimes. What I'm saying here is that this is the first move, but this is not the only move. Leon Rose, you think I don't see what you're doing? That meeting with Leon Rose and Rich Paul is going to happen. And when it happens, the next move is DeJounte Murray. How does this sound? Murray, Brunson, OG, Randall, and when he comes back, Mitchell Robinson. That sounds, whether you like it or not, whether you hate it or not, that sounds like a contender in the East, and that sounds like a team that might be able to flirt with top 3 in the Eastern Conference. Don't think that this is the only move the Knicks are doing. The Knicks made this move, but because they have Evan Fournier left on this roster, remaining on this team, and he only holds value within this time right now, they're making another move. I don't know who that player is going to be, but if I had to venture a guess, given all the reports and rumors that I've heard lately, the next player the New York Knicks are trading for is DeJounte Murray. And they're going to help create one of the most lethal backcourts in the entire NBA. And then you're going to add the defense of OG Anunoby to that? That sounds scary to me. Like I said before, I love Immanuel Quickley. I love RJ Barrett. I saw those guys grow up with the New York Knicks, saw them rise, saw them get better. I'm going to miss those guys. I'm going to miss seeing them in New York Knicks uniforms, in those outfits, saying the New York Knicks are winning, saying that they want to help the Knicks win a chip. I'm going to miss all of those interviews, all of that praise, and all of those comments. But unfortunately, right now, we have to look toward the future. We have to move on, and we have to turn the page. And unfortunately, RJ Barrett, Immanuel Quickley, they're not part of the New York Knicks future anymore. The New York Knicks future right now is Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, and now their newest addition, OG Anunoby. And of course, Precious Achiuwa and Malachi Flynn. But the main piece of this trade, as we all see it here, is OG Anunoby. You basically take RJ Barrett out, you slot OG Anunoby in, and if you want to call it, the Knicks' new big three is now OG Anunoby, Jalen Brunson, and Julius Randle. How far can that big three help the Knicks go? And like I said before, that's their big three now. Not forever, because they're going to make a move sooner rather than later. And then maybe, who knows, maybe they have another new big three. Maybe that's Murray, Brunson, and Randle. Only time will tell. But one thing for sure, Leon Rose and the Knicks are making moves. They are active, and I can't wait to see what the next move is that they make. But what about you guys? What do you think about this blockbuster trade that the New York Knicks made to get OG Anunoby and a few other pieces on this roster? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below, and of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.